There we go. Record. Hey guys, welcome. Happy Saturday morning. February 27th, only one day left of the month. Well, two, if you include today and tomorrow. I don't want to push it here. Anyway, we have a wonderful guest on today. But first, before we get started with that, I just want to give you a couple updates. One, there's 2 more days left in the month. Most of us have challenge groups starting on March 1st. So if you have not joined a challenge group yet and you're in here listening, then get on a challenge group now. You have time and you have till the end of the weekend to get into it and started on Monday, which happens to be March 1st, which is pretty cool when they coincide. And we, after this at 9 a.m., if you're listening live, we have our Zoom workout party. If you're not listening live, we run them Monday night, 7 p.m. and Saturday morning, 9 a.m. So totally, and this is all Eastern. So make sure you hop on with us because it's a ton of fun, a ton of fun. If you're not in the Fit Party Central group, make sure you get in there. Also, we just wrapped up a 5-day challenge in there, and we have a $50 raffle going on right now in the Fit Party Central Facebook group. Okay, so I think those are all of our updates. Oh, and by the way, spring is coming and soon all the snow will melt, just so you know. And daylight savings is coming up soon. So if you're a person like me who likes to count down the days till it gets longer, like till the days get longer, because it boosts your mood and you're sick of having the winter blues, then guess what? It's coming. It's coming. Okay, so here we have Lynn, and I love what Lynn's going to share with us because it kind of coincides with the fact that spring is coming, because Lynn finished one of my favorite programs, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, let's get to know Lynn. So welcome, Lynn.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I don't know if I'm as energized as you are, though.
Right, you are.
I'm not doing my energize yet. I have to wean back into that and my coffee. But I've been
you
waking
are
up
as
really early.
you are energized. You give off a positive, super happy energy. And just because you're not like me and like crazy doesn't mean you don't give off this amazing vibe. Literally everybody I know who's around you ever is like comes away with this new sense of calmness, and they feel amazing about themselves. You have this crazy awesome ability to make people feel better after talking to you than prior to them talking to you, and that is like
That's so
it's an
nice of you to
inspiration.
say.
It's
Thank you.
true. I don't speak in riddles and lies, so you really do that for a lot of people, and including myself, and I love it, and it's very inspiring, very
Thank
inspiring.
you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. I feel like everybody who walks away from talking to you should be saying thank you. Thank you, Lynn, for talking to me. But tell
I,
us a little bit tell us a little bit about you, your life, who you are. Are you married? Do you have children? Do you have any cats and dogs? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
sure. I am married and I have 3 children. And I have a cat and a dog. I live in Hamburg. We have a nice little house. What else to say? Being a mom is really special to me. I really enjoy it. And I also love to make things. I love to cook. I love to bake. I love to, make interesting food. Like I love to do fermenting. I have my like kefir starter. Every day I have my sourdough. I learned how to make sourdough over this quarantine, like so many people. That's been really fun. Soon I'm excited for getting out and gardening. So we've been thinking about our garden and how we're gonna, every year, my husband and I look at each other and we say, this is gonna be the best garden ever. And it doesn't always live up to that, but this year it's gonna be the best garden ever. So I'm excited about that. This week when it was warm out, I went to check on my beehives. I do beekeeping, and unfortunately they all died, which I was a little sad about. So I'm gonna have to get new bees, but that is a fun hobby. It's even better that I make my husband Mike like do most of the work, so he's the one that gets stung, and I just say, "Here, do this." So I like outdoor hobbies. And oh, this last year I picked up a new kind of hobby, which is mushroom hunting. And so we're excited to get out and look for some edible mushrooms, and I'm learning about how to ID them and that kind of thing. So I love to bring these things into like a health perspective too, because I kind of believe that all of those, traditional things that people do are really important to, they were there for a reason, and maybe we forgot a lot about why, people used to like make sourdough or ferment their foods for preservation and things like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love you. I love you. All right. So you always remind me of all the things that I, had once done and then walked away from and then, oh yeah, that's right. I need to go back to that.
That's easy to do. Yeah, I do it
Life,
too.
yeah, it's easy to get stuck up in the hustle and bustle and, like the mushrooms. I had a mushroom co-op. I
Oh,
loved it years ago. I'm pretty sure we spoke about it actually. Years ago, I would, every week or every other week, I'd go pick up my food, and with it would be this bag of mushrooms. And I'm like, what is this? What's this? What's this? I loved it. I'd find these like big, I would call them the brain mushrooms. I forget the names of them. They were huge. They were like this big, and you can cut them up like steak. And oh my gosh,
they
they were so
lion's
good.
mane.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I found one of those in the wild. I found a lion's mane mushroom, like a big one, and I
Yeah.
made it into crab cakes.
Ooh, that
Good.
sounds amazing. That sounds really good, actually.
That was the
And
first mushroom that I found and actually ate. So that was pretty like nerve-wracking, but exciting.
you're like, I don't know what tonight's gonna bring, guys. I don't know, but we're gonna go out on a limb and try it. That's so funny. Yeah, I've always been nervous about someone else going out and picking out mushrooms who's not like I don't even know why I was okay with the co-op. I guess maybe because I didn't know the person going out and
They
picking out
probably
the
grow them, so they're pretty good at what they do.
That's probably true. So the one thing that I love about you is, and we'll go into like your history of your health journey and everything, but what I love about you is your persistence,
Oh,
right?
thanks.
Like you are somebody who always keeps, like you were saying, you always want to be at your health, like you want to look at the whole health, not just, oh, I want to lose weight. Not that you don't want to do that piece either, but I'm just saying you look at everything all together and you're like, I want to do this for my inside. I want to do it for my family. I want to like, you're very persistent too. So like anytime you start to drift off, you're always coming back, right? You're always like, nope, I'm gonna redirect myself into what matters most. And I love that about you. It's very inspiring.
Oh,
Guys, make
thank
sure
you.
you're muted on your phones.
Telling Kaylee
There we
this the
go.
other day. Um, I think I think that's true, and I've definitely been had like ups and downs. But um, what one thing that has really helped, and I know this is maybe a little bit corny, but really like remaining a coach, because I knew that there was always people, always like something that I could come back to, and that I looked at things a little different throughout the years, but the fact that like if I wasn't still a coach, I would definitely, I don't think I'd be where I was, and I'd feel so much more lost. So that's been helpful.
Oh, that's a huge testament to our community. I think you're right though, thinking back and thinking about other things, like when you're part of a family, if you leave, you're always welcomed back, right? And
Yeah,
it's kind
yeah,
of like that with the coach family. And I don't mean leave in any kind of negative way. I just mean like you go off onto your own direction and then you're always welcomed back.
yeah.
And especially our community, maybe not, I don't know about everybody else's community, but our coach community, I feel like it's the same way. Like people are excited to see you. They want the best for you, and they're never judgmental about it. And I think that's really cool. That's a huge testament to what we have here. Tell me a little bit how you even were introduced to our community.
Well, a good few years ago, geez, I don't remember. It must have been My daughter was born in 2015. So I think it was that same year, the end of that year. Yes. So it was 2015. That's almost 6 years ago. I was just really not feeling good about myself. And I remember I had that like moment where I was going to a summer picnic and I just cried because nothing I tried on looked good. And I told my husband, like, I don't even want to go because I feel like I look horrible and I just, everything, isn't right and this and that. So, and then it even took me a few more months after that before I reached out to Kaylee and wanted to know, how I could lose some weight. That was really big for me. It's and that still to this day is a factor because I have been trying to find this balance. I feel like a lot of this journey for me is about finding a balance of being in a healthy place, okay, and what makes us healthy. That's one thing that I've been really considering because I don't like the idea that it's our weight is the only thing that makes us healthy. I don't think that that's true, And I think there's a lot of other things that are a part of that big picture. But that is a factor. And then so it's a balance of, what is being healthy, like how can I find what is my best health, and then also the confidence factor, the loving your body side, like I've been, going back and forth as far as, well, I want to lose weight, and when I lose weight I feel a lot more confident, I feel a lot happier with myself and with my body, but I don't want it only like I don't want to only love my body when I'm losing weight or when I'm at a specific weight. So that's been hard, honestly. That's been hard for me to find. And I think I'm still finding that balance and learning to love myself wherever I'm at. But it is also true that when I lose weight, I feel better, so it becomes a little bit easier there. So, that's when I started. That was like losing weight was my main focus. And yeah, thanks, Amanda. But when I started, I remember very vividly, I did 21 Day Fix and I was so mentally there. I was like on the challenge group every day. I meal planned. I wanted to get started like the prep week because I remember I was like, wait, I have to wait a whole other week to get started. I didn't realize there was a prep week. So I started early and I was on board and I had really good results. And I remember saying to Kaylee, like, this was easy. This wasn't hard. And it wasn't hard because I had a plan and because I, I had accountability that I was like following along with everyone. And I realized that again, eating the right things fill you up and I could do this. So it was a really good like confidence booster. And that for me mimics or like mirrors what this last 3 weeks has been for me because um I I felt empowered again. Like doing the ultimate reset, I felt wow, this isn't really that hard, and I can do it. And and I remember the same feelings of when I first started, like, I can go at night, after I eat dinner, I don't have to have a snack. That's a big thing for me. After dinner, I want to, I have a sweet tooth really creeps in like hard. So that it made me remember this feeling of like, I can do this, like I really can. And it also reminded me that it's not that hard, but you do have to have a plan. Because, so I'm just going to keep going actually,
Keep
because
going.
when in this middle time, right, and most recently since about 3 years ago, because it was a little bit, it was, well, yeah, maybe it was more than 3 years ago when I found out I was pregnant with Gabe, and that kind of set me off. Like that was a big hurdle that I was just not expecting, and one of those like miserable, like depressed pregnant people, like not having a good time. And so and then after Gabe was here, I just was thinking like, it was hard to do. So there was a big hurdle in the middle there, but now it's made me realize that I can do this again, you know, and I think the hardest part was coming to that because a lot of thoughts went through my head. Like, for example, one of them was, why is it so easy for me to gain weight back? You know, and that's something that, like, I don't know if I've 100% found the answer, but you know, I attribute some of that to genetics, definitely. Um, and you know, for some people, like it's not, you know, I feel like genetically, some people can maintain their weight better. Maybe, you know, others feel differently, but I think that's a part of it. But also, like the habit side and the healthy habit and your mindset really play in because in my mind, I was just like, screw it. You know, I need to love myself, whatever weight I'm at. And I think that's a valid point, you know. I think that's a really valid, you know, point that yes, you do need to love yourself wherever, you know, your body's at. But there's also the side that's like, well, is it really good for you to just keep having the scale go up? And that's what was happening.
So then I got to stop you right there for a second
Okay.
because this conversation goes on literally in everybody's head,
Uh-huh.
especially in the culture that we're in. And the idea of, you know, the self love movement is huge. And I'm not against the self love movement. However, there's got to be a balance, and this is the struggle, literally the argument that goes on in our heads now constantly because we're being berated by that movement, right? But we grew up in a different movement, and so we're constantly at struggle with ourselves. But the way, you know, you said something earlier, and if you here's the thing, so the movement is like, well, screw it, you should love yourself everywhere, like whatever you look like, you should love yourself, right? And I do. Yeah, absolutely. But when you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, you are in the overweight, obese category, and that can cause this, this, and that, right? And at the same time, you're also listing off, ooh, I feel like crap, right? So, how could this be a good thing for me? If I feel like crap, it's going to cause problems with my health. And that's why they have the word healthy weight range. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like we're constantly at battle in our head with this, like, well, I shouldn't focus on that because I should love myself, right? Versus, yeah, but I really want to feel good. I want to look good and I want more energy. I think this is going on in people's heads all day long, every single day, constantly. And I think there is a balance between the two, but you almost have to get rid of the extremes out of your head to get to that balance, right? And I think you can love yourself and use that as a reason to take action. Do
I
you know what
agree.
I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's definitely like the conversation in my head all the time. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's so true. And that's why for me it's this like finding that balance because I was for a long time after I had Gabe, and he's like 2.5 years old now, I was thinking, well, you know, at some point, and I was doing some reading about like, you know, different kind of weight, like movements and different philosophies. And I think that there is an inherent problem in what the weight the doctors set and what it makes up BMI. Like, I think there's some issues with that. And I also
Mhm.
think that when you go to the doctor, like the conventional medicine, like doctors don't bring in other parts of your health, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there's problems with that too. But I was, you know, reading kind of about like, well, at some point your body will maintain that, like, oh, I forget what it's called, but
Set
your,
point, your
yeah,
set
yeah,
point. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, your weight set point. So I kind of had this, all right, um, I'm gonna, you know, just try to, not regulate myself, but just, you know, follow kind of like my body and where, you know, and where I'm going and not put too much pressure on myself to eat a certain way. And my body's going to find this set point. And it's, you know, been definitely over a year of doing that. And the for me, the scale just kept going up. and
Lynn,
it kept going
I
up.
could talk about this forever, and I think the reason why I have a hard time with this personally is because my mom never worried about her weight my entire life. She just didn't worry about it. She didn't try to crash diet. She didn't try to diet. She just never worried about her weight. And she lived at 300 pounds my entire childhood. And so when people talk about that, like just, eat in moderation, your body will regulate itself. It didn't for her, right? She would have had to take action to figure this out. On top of that, our world is not set up like that. It's
I think,
not.
I mean,
Convenient food and our food being manufactured and processed is not going to put you at a healthy weight if you are just letting it happen.
bingo. Like that's the
Right.
thing that I've kind of realized is
If you
that,
live in the wild and you make all your own food and you're living off the land, then your set point will probably be totally fine.
like, I think that that ignores sugar addiction or just
Everything it
like
ignores
all those
manufactured food in general.
manufactured foods.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which all contribute. So for me, someone who has a huge sweet tooth, you know what I mean, to like it wasn't it didn't it just I
Well, the
found like
fact
I
is
wasn't.
we live in a world where it's going to be a struggle. Like you can't just go to a party and do whatever you want and not expect an outcome, a consequence, whether it be positive or negative, of what you're eating. Like we can't ignore consequences. I feel like a lot of times we're like, well, you do what you want, like you'll be okay. Do what you want. I'm like, consequences are going to come no matter what with
Mhm,
whatever decisions and choices you make, right? And
mhm,
so you have to think about that when you're eating too. And because we're set in this world of convenience food and the food's all over all the time, anytime, very easy to do. We drive in a car, we can stop anywhere we want. We can go pick up our Starbucks. We can add pumpkin bread to it. We can go hop over and get some French fries in a second. We can get our Frosty and French fries. I'm naming all the things that used to get me big time. And still do. And it's just easy. It's easy. We don't have to work for our food. And then put in the fact that somebody like yourself and myself who is very passionate about food. I
mhm.
love your passion about food because I love your curiosity. You always want to try new things. And the thing though that is cool about that is you can become passionate about the healthy food. Do you know what I mean? I love that about you because you're always like trying to find that like the new healthy
Yeah.
food, the how to go back and use the things that we used to use in life before all of this convenience food, manufactured food was out there. How do we use the history but in a modern way? And I love that about you. So, you know what? Let's move on for a second, right? Let's talk
Mhm,
about how you were feeling this over the last year, you said. You've
mhm.
been trying to do, but your weight just kept increasing throughout this. So
Yeah,
you made a decision to do ultimate reset. Was this the first like thing you decided to come back to? Like, did you?
it
Yeah,
was.
it was. Okay. So
It
tell me
was.
why.
Yeah, so, part of that was I was getting to this realization that, like, I have to do something because I'm even if my body had this set point at, like, 250 pounds or whatever, I wouldn't wanna be there, you know?
Right.
So,
And
I
you know what?
went.
I'm sorry. I'm going to cut you off one more time.
Mhm.
And I know you don't want to be there for, clothing and stuff like that, but also what does it do to your energy?
Yeah, yeah.
What does it do to you like in every part of your life?
I mean, I I was really seeing a loss of energy, just feeling tired all the time and feeling like, I mean, I was definitely eating too much sugar, but I would, yeah, it just had a huge effect. Like I was noticing that it wasn't just the weight, I think, which is what you're trying to get at. It was definitely a loss of energy. And I go to a like an alternative doctor,
Mhm,
regularly. And and they so like Kaylee, I do muscle I go to a muscle tester, for
mhm,
muscle
yeah.
testing. And so actually recently they tested me, and they showed me how sugar impacts my body and like the
Wow.
strength of my body, because they the way they do muscle testing, they put a piece of sugar on with like the other supplements that are recommended for me. And I just instantly, you could see how weak my response was. um, And I was like, oh, this is real. Like the sugar is not good. And I was feeling so, every time I'd come in, I'd be like, I just feel tired. I was getting headaches. And I'm not someone who gets headaches. Like my whole life, I've been really thankful. I don't get a lot of headaches unless I stop drinking coffee or don't drink enough water. And so that was it. But the other thing was the weight part was definitely a big factor. The other thing was actually the climate that we're in living in this pandemic, because I had a blood test done for something unrelated. It wasn't like super serious or anything. No one has to worry. But there were some like blood counts that weren't quite right, and they wanted me to see like a regular doctor, which is like hard for me to do. And and so I'm like, well, if I need my like immune system, with like white blood count and everything to be on top notch for this climate we're in about, COVID-19. And that was seriously something that I was talking to. Anyway, I just saw a
We're,
comment.
we're both laughing at the same thing.
Maybe can yell at me later.
She's a
But
watch out. Rainy's watching.
so so maybe this is controversial, but in my mind, I was thinking about, okay, how can I best protect myself from COVID-19? Because I've heard people who have got the virus and have been very careful. And then I've heard people who have got the virus and have not been very careful. And it's like, well, it doesn't seem like I think that, like I'm comfortable with following guidelines and precautions, but that doesn't guarantee me from getting it. And I was someone who always got me, like my mom always tells me, I always got more sick than the rest of my siblings and this and that. And I think that I've done things to change that. But I was talking with her about what can we do to really support ourselves and protect ourselves most from getting any virus. And that's eating right and not eating sugar, because that directly like reduces your immune function. So, and then seeing it at the muscle tester, like that was just like, yeah, duh. I mean, it's something I knew, but I didn't really want to believe.
And seeing
So,
it physically makes a huge difference.
yeah. And then I actually did the ultimate reset with her because we both decided, we want to make our bodies as strong as possible and as healthy as possible. And yes, the virus was part of it. The weight was part of it. The mood, the energy, mood wise, that was another thing. Like I wasn't really motivated. I was getting a little more motivated because I had to make this decision. But now I'm kind of, it's been 3 weeks and I'm like, I got all these ideas. I gotta keep doing, it's made a change. So that was all those things combined which is why I decided to do it. And what I realized is that when I started, I guess, did we say 5 years ago? How many years ago? Almost 6 years ago.
Yeah, 6 years.
That I had a plan and I just followed it, and I was really good at following it. So I wanted something that I could easily, well, I mean, it's not easy. Ultimate Reset isn't easy necessarily, but I wanted something I could follow. And that seemed like and it was also, I wanted a reset. It was just I needed a reset, and that's what the Ultimate Reset's all about. So that's why I chose Ultimate Reset.
Yeah. And for anybody who's listening, when she talks about having a plan and just following it, there's something amazing about Ultimate Reset is that you are given what to eat, not the actual food, but specifically. But I mean, they tell you exactly what to eat: breakfast, lunch, dinner. They
Mhm.
give you all the recipes. They tell you what to prep ahead of time. It's literally laid out for you. They tell you what supplements to take when. They tell you when to drink water. They tell you how much sleep to have. They tell you literally everything you need to know. And if you work out, it's only like a very light yoga workout. So a lot of people will take that extra time that they had during the workouts that they would normally have and put it all into their food prep. And if you're doing that, it's not all that much extra time. It seems like a lot at first because you're going through this learning curve, but because you're prepped and ready to go, it actually might save you some time as well. And you know what I love, Lynn, about your coach, Kaylee, who's on here staring at me right now? She is so flipping good at prep and planning. And you're right, when you have a plan, when you have prep, you get results. And here's the thing, my innate like I don't know how to word this, but I resist it. I like naturally resist planning, and like I'm like, I'll figure it out, right? And it never works out when I do that, ever. It never works out. And you would think in my brain it would like, duh, it doesn't work out, plan and prep, but
Mhm.
I end up not doing that, right? And so the ultimate reset I love because it kind of gets you into that role without even trying to get into that role. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It forces you to do it. And because you're feeling amazing and getting great results along the way, you're getting more and more motivated as you go. And
Yeah,
now you're like super motivated to keep going, right?
yeah, I definitely feel that. Yeah.
And other than weight, well, tell me, how much weight have you lost during it?
I lost 16 pounds,
Yeah.
which is,
3 weeks, guys.
I mean,
Weeks.
we don't wanna,
No,
like,
we
have that
do. Here,
expectation
that's
for everything,
motivating.
but
That's incredibly motivating. And other people are motivated by that too. And if it's motivating, if you're losing that weight, 16 pounds, and it makes people excited and you're excited and motivated, and you know it's through doing something incredibly healthy, then we need to celebrate that. We need to celebrate it. I love that. And yes, Amanda said results depending on starting point and effort. That
yes.
is very true.
Yes, I actually, this is the third time that I've done Ultimate Reset. And the first time I was really good. And I also lost 16 pounds. So for some reason, that seems to be the magic number. But the second time I didn't finish and I wasn't like mentally in it as well. So this is the second time that I actually finished and like was mentally in the game and followed along really well. So yeah, I feel really good about that. But I'm also like my body kind of like my sleep schedule reset, so it's really easy for me to wake up early now, and I noticed that was a difference. I'm at night, I'm not tired, so not just that. I mean, at night I get tired eventually, but all throughout the day I don't feel tired. And what it really, I mean, it really, I think I said this before, but it made me feel like, oh my gosh, I can do this. It made me feel so empowered to remember that, yes, I can do this. That's what I needed, because I tried, halfway for a long time, and that didn't work. So it's really showing, it taught me a lot of things. It taught me that, yes, I can do this. No, I don't need to eat the sugar. I don't need to eat after dinner. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to make it. And there's almost that feeling when you go to bed at night and you didn't snack after dinner, that you can just feel like, oh, it's going to be a good morning. When you feel like you get up and then you can go on the scale and you're like, yeah, it's going to be a good morning. And the other thing I learned was about planning, about what you just said. I learned that I do need a plan. And I did meal plans a lot, but my meal plans started to get like kind of a suggestive, oh, these are suggestions. And I'll have like some meal ideas there. So yeah, that's good. I don't have to think about it in like later in the week, but it wasn't a real plan where I could say, okay, it's breakfast time. What am I going to have? And then, oh, I'm going to have this. I already have that made, or I make sure I have that in my, the material, the ingredients in my cupboard, fridge, whatever. And that takes away a lot, like the extra thinking. And it actually makes you, we haven't talked about like mindfulness, but it makes you present, because you're like, this is what I can do, and I just do it, and I'm in that moment, and it takes a lot of that stress. So planning I've definitely been reminded that I need to plan. So going forward, I've been trying to think of, okay, how does my mindset stay, and how does it, how is it going to be going forward? Because yesterday was my last day on the reset. So how do I make that transition? I've been thinking about that now, and kind of what mindset do I have to keep? And I feel like I have to keep telling myself that, I need to have a plan, and I need to understand that, um, like, I need to follow this plan and I need to eat well every day. And if there are times that come up when I have the opportunity to maybe celebrate, like if it's a birthday or a special event, or if it's a party or something, that's okay, but only if I've been sticking to my plan the other days. Because before, when again, I don't want to be hard on myself when I want to go to a birthday party and eat a piece of cake. However, that wasn't working because every other day I ate a piece of cake, you know? So that wasn't like it was, when Autumn talks a lot about you can go out with friends, you can do this, give yourself permission. And it's like, yes, but you have to make sure that the other days you were following your plan and you were staying on track, because otherwise it's not really a plan, and you're
It's
not
also
really,
not in moderation. Like
yeah.
that's not moderation.
I mean, I could fool myself, like, and I fooled myself a long time to be like, well, I had a healthy breakfast or I had a healthy dinner, but that's not going to work for me, and that might, people's bodies are a little different, but
Yeah.
that's not going to
Yeah.
work for me.
Yeah.
I learned a
I
lot about that.
I'm learning a lot from you. I never once even thought about the fact that, like, first of all, I'm not one who really thinks about how I think. So
You don't
when
do
you
that too much.
when you're talking about mindfulness, I'm like, but I never thought about the fact that you're more mindful and more present when you have a real plan in place, because you already have I'm thinking about the 8 million things that go through my head at one time, like literally 8 million at one time. And if I had one of those off my plate and I'm not even thinking about it, it gives room for the other things. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what you meant by being more present, by
Well,
having it in place.
what I mean is that I don't have to think about what I'm going to have. I just have to make it. And I'm just there in that moment making my food. And that's all I have to think about.
Ah,
And that's all I
yes.
have to do.
And you're
That-
enjoying it and not thinking about anything else at that moment.
yeah. I mean, of course you might think of other things, but
Sure.
um, you know, with mindfulness in general, when you bring yourself to that moment and to focus on just what you're doing, there's a
Mhm.
lot of peace in that.
That makes sense too. Oh my gosh, I love you, Lynn. And then the other thing you talked about was the plan. You had a plan. You said you're like, well, I had a plan, but it was more like a suggested plan
Mhm.
versus having a full out plan with an outcome in mind.
Yeah.
And this is that's like a plan of, well, make sure I have dinners for my family because they need to have dinners, and that's great and all, but a plan being like, I'm going to have dinners for my family that they love, that I love, and I'm going to have a good outcome at the same time. Like
Yeah, and also, I
that's a
mean, what
plan.
I mean by suggestive, it's like I would look at it, but then not like I need to have action on that plan, which I think is what you
Yeah.
mean by having those outcomes.
Hmm.
I can look at it and then say, oh, I don't feel like that anymore. Oh, I forgot to get those ingredients. So now I can't even make that. Um, a plan really needs to be more than just it needs to be, I think, very specific, for me, and
Yeah.
I need to, as far as much food prep as I can do, but the basic food prep for me is just making sure I have those things in my house.
Yeah. Oh
So
my gosh, yes, that's so true. Yes. All of the ingredients,
mm,
making sure you have it ahead of time, not having to run out at last minute, not having to substitute other things
yeah,
because you're, oh, I don't have that. Let me figure it out somewhere else. That's so true.
there's something really special about just going to that book in the Ultimate Reset and knowing exactly what you were going to have, and that I can mimic with a plan that I used to do, which is just, all right, it's snack time, this is what I'm going to have. Okay, it's dinner, whatever, this is what I'm going to have. So having it all spelled out is really, I found that is what's really helps me.
So tell me, if somebody was going to say to you, oh my gosh, Lynn, I can't believe you got such great results. I can't believe how much energy you've gained. You sound so non-stressed about your health in general at the moment, right? But I'm still not sure if it's for me. What would you say?
Well, honestly, when it comes to Ultimate Reset, it wasn't easy, like as you're it does take like making the meals takes, I think, a little bit longer because you're chopping like 100 vegetables, which is, I think, the longest part. But you can do things ahead of time. I didn't. I have, I'm at home all the time. So I made them each meal. But I would definitely say to someone that this is, you have, if you are not committed in your mind, then it might not be the best thing for you to do, because you're gonna really get the best results all around, but you have to be mentally ready to do it. So if it's not there, I'm not going to pressure someone to do this because I don't think it'll work out for them.
Mhm.
And there's but you the thing that I would say that's great about it is you learn so much. You learn so many different recipes, and you learn different foods. There's a lot of different things that I don't normally eat in there, things that I've never tried. It's, you do learn a lot and you do get great results, but you have to be mentally there.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. I know, guys, I kind of let this one go for a while, but I really wanted to hear more from Lynn. And I always say to somebody who's thinking about doing ultimate reset or just questioning, I said, listen, there's one thing I'll tell you. Think about the healthiest time you ever ate in your life. I'm telling you now, by the time you're done with ultimate reset, you're going to be like, oh, I can't believe I thought that was healthy. That's always what people tell me when they're done with ultimate reset. They're like, I didn't even know what healthy was. Like there is something about ultimate reset, the amount of vegetables you eat and all that. And there are little tips and tricks that you can do to help yourself get through it faster. Like I buy shredded carrots. Like there's just a whole lot of stuff that you can do to help with your ultimate reset. So if you need help, reach out to your coach, ask them if there's a group, ask them if there's like tips to get through it better. There really is. If you can do it with other coaches who've done it before, we might even do a group together in March or April. I have to convince my husband to do it with me. He loves this program, by the way, but like Lynn said, you have to be ready and prepped for it, and we have to like know in advance, like to
Yeah.
let everybody know when to do it, to order it, all that fun stuff. So if you're interested, get together with your coach, ask them when the next group is, and do it. Like if you're really interested, what is the harm to do it? It's only 3 weeks. Like put
Yeah.
everything aside for 3 weeks when it comes to your like workouts and all that, and just commit to this one thing for 3 weeks, and you'll notice the huge energy boosts, the things you learn, everything about it. You'll just feel so much more healthy. So
Can I
thank
say
you, Lynn.
one more thing to
Yeah, absolutely.
that, like another benefit that I didn't realize right away was I was eating so much sugar before, and I wasn't liking vegetables as much. I used to like vegetables a lot and eat them a lot. And then, the more, it seems like the more sugar I would eat, the less I would want vegetables. And I realized that with the ultimate reset, because I remember like, oh, this tastes good. Oh, like, oh, this tastes better than I was thinking. And I had a lot of those experiences, like with collard greens, and so I think it does actually change your taste buds too, which is good for going forward, because now I can, have that appetite for the vegetables, which is what we really need to eat. So I just wanted to bring that up.
So true. Thank you so much, Lynn. Thank you for being on here. I'm so happy and grateful for you to let us interview you. Everybody's saying you're amazing. Love, love, love you. I love it. Amanda said I didn't know what natural energy was until I did the ultimate reset. I think that's a huge testament too. All right. Thank you, guys. We're going to get ready for
Thank
a fit
you.
party now. Have an awesome day. Thank you again, Lynn. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.